All right, so it is 6:33. I'll call it to order. All right, the first item is citizen comments. We do not have any citizens.
We have not
Here.
received any citizen comments.
Okay, we'll go to item C. C1, consider approving minutes from the September 11th meeting and take appropriate action. Any question?
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
All right. All right, all in favor? Great. The second agenda item is to receive a staff update on sustainability initiative.
Okay, so we had our compost 101 workshop on Saturday, September 14th. I know some of y'all were in attendance. We had 19 participants show up that day. So fairly well attended. We had limited the signups to 25. So pretty decent attendance, I feel like, for a Saturday morning. Feel like it went pretty well. I don't know if anyone that was there wants to kind of talk about it for those that weren't, but pretty informative. Had the hands-on piece, and then we went over to Dallas College to do the classroom portion.
Did all 25 spots get filled?
All 25 spots got filled, and we had a wait list of like 3 people. So it did fill up. We kind of went through our usual communication channels on that, but we had 19 show up today.
19 out of the 20.
19 out of the 25. Yeah.
Seemed like no.
Did the waitlist people get notified?
I notified them the day before just because I figured if we have 28, it'll be fine. So I don't know. I haven't cross-looked on who was on the wait list at the very end, if they ended up coming or not. But yeah, so we built a nice compost pile at the community garden. Feel like it was pretty informative, maybe a little too hands-on with all the clapping.
I thought she was good.
No, she's great. She's a really good educator. So, tree giveaway coming up.
Wait, I do have one comment. If we do that again, is there any way we can get supplies or borrow supplies from Parks and Rec? Because like the tools they had there, like the clippers were not.
Yeah, we
they were
need
horrible.
different clippers.
Yeah. So if we can,
We can purchase some.
figure out a way so that more people can participate in that part of it.
Okay.
I have a question. Is now not talk about it on
Is it about the compost?
we had 3 people on the wait list. Is this something we should consider moving forward, doing it again?
I think so, given the turnout, and we've talked a little bit about, especially, just focusing on waste diversion and stuff. We can partner this with some of the other programs, like, the library is doing like the one that you attended, taught by Master Gardener. If we, maybe have some sort of class on drought tolerant landscapes, stuff like that. Kind of like trying to group it together, whether it's just Public Works operating event, maybe Parks and Rec is doing something, and kind of try to group them all together.
Yeah.
But yeah, given the turnout on this one, I would think that it's something that we could, would consider doing again in the future. So
Could we survey the people that came? Just like
yeah, we can do a quick survey on that.
Other topics.
All right, the tree giveaway event is coming up on Saturday. It's from 9 to 11 a.m. If anyone's still interested in volunteering, we could always use a little bit of extra help loading trees. The registration went live on September 24th, and we sold the trees sold out. They're free, but they sold out in 2 hours. So I think it was an hour and a half faster than last year. So word's getting out. People are getting excited for it. Lots of phone calls from folks that missed the registration, but if people don't come and claim them, it is available on a first come, first served basis with the proof of residency. And that's going to be right across the road at Dallas College, Saturday morning. We have 200 trees, redbuds, desert willow, Schumer oak, and Texas pecan that we're giving away.
Did anyone reach out to their neighbors and remind them or? Okay, yeah. Wonderful.
And we do see on the registration list, because I always think it's almost like a duplicate, but people do talk to their neighbors because you'll see, this number, and this number, and this number on the same street. So that lets me know that people in Farmers Branch talk to their neighbors, which is great. Our shredding event is also going to be on Saturday at City Hall from 9 to 11. So it's the same time as the tree giveaway. There's ample time to go and do both if you have anything that needs to be shredded. And then the Haunts and Houses event that is going to be at the Historical Park on Thursday, October 24th from 4 to 6. I have Lauren and Lisa volunteering at that one. So Maria will be tabling that and we'll be with her on that day.
Do we have any restrictions as far as like, can you give out little candy bags or?
They'll provide, the historical park's gonna provide the candy and stuff. So if there's, so there'll be an opportunity for you to hand out the candies, talk to people. I don't know if y'all have.
Yeah, we
any
have some giveaways
goodies?
too.
We can-
Not so many that are kids focused, but we'll have a few that are,
But if there's some parents, so, yeah.
perfect. Landfill solar right now, that is on indefinite pause pending the sale of the property. I was on the agenda at the September 17th city council meeting. I know very little about what's going on with that. So more as I find information. The EECBG funds, this is our Department of Energy funding. We did purchase that Ford F-150 Lightning. So that's a second EV in our city fleet, first truck. And the Equinox EV for the health inspector is on order. We hope to receive that by the end of the year and we can close out that grant there. So we'll be adding, once that's all said and done, two EVs to our fleet through that funding. The CCC closure that went through with budget. We're working kind of on some other options and as far as trying to divert some of those waste streams. I will provide an update to the committee as I find out more about that. Electronics is probably going to be a shredding event 3 times a year. I know we've talked about some partnerships with the college. So we'll be working on that, trying to figure out ways that we can still divert a good chunk of the waste that was coming in there.
And do you have any idea of the citizen feedback regarding that closure since it's closed?
So I've seen a lot more in probably the last month of people speaking on that issue. There were quite a few comments on the Facebook posts when announcing that. So,
It looks like maybe price.
it's able to activate Bluetooth.
Maybe it works. Can you hear me?
Turning blue,
Yeah, sorry, Price, we still cannot.
so that's on our side.
Yeah, that's strange because I put out sound. All right. Well, sorry, Price.
Price filter on.
Put the price filter on. It'll be a short meeting. Price. No. Soul Smart Destination, that is a program to help reduce barriers to adopting solar. And it's also a recognition program. I'll be presenting to the Planning and Zoning Commission on that on the 28th of this month. Just introducing the topic. In order to receive the gold level designation that we're trying for, we will have to do some changes to the code of ordinances, mainly like adding definitions and providing some more clarity. It won't really change the way that we operate. It's just kind of adding that, being explicit that we, support solar and development and stuff like that. So it shouldn't be, a huge lift, just mainly adding some clarifying wording and definitions, but that will have to go through planning and zoning. So I'll introduce that program to them, provide kind of some of the work that we've done, the local government cohort that we went on with the other Texas cities. So we'll be kind of making some progress on that. Assuming that the P&Z Commission is good with the kind of direction, staff will provide some of those draft updates to the code of ordinances. They'll go back to P&Z for recommendation and then to City Council for adoption. So once we get that on the books, do a few other little requirements as required, then we should be able to receive a designation for that. The nice thing is we're already doing quite a bit around solar. So, we're not having to add a bunch of new programs. It's just kind of little tweaks here or there to, our code or our website and different things like that.
Is that, go ahead.
Other than the recognition, is there any additional benefit to the city or?
So the recognition is it's 2-part. It's kind of, basically a list of best practices for cities. So by, adopting those and, getting the kind of different points for it, you're integrating best practices for solar adoption. So whether that's, reducing permit turnaround times, kind of to reduce soft costs for companies and different things like that. yeah, that's kind of the goal of it, but then also you get recognized as a Soul Smart City, and I can't remember, it's quite a few that have already done it. There's 14 in Texas, and I want to say 600 cities nationwide, or somewhere like that, so.
And is it just municipal and commercial or is it also
It's
residential?
local governments, so counties, cities, and councils of government. On the active transportation plan, the consultant, Kimley Horn, is working on the first draft with the updated project list. That was basically those projects are prioritized based on those different factors that we all kind of talked about in the input meeting and on the survey. So the citizen feedback has been incorporated into the ranking scale for those projects. So we're waiting to receive a draft. That's something I can bring to the committee to look at and get a little bit more feedback. So hopefully once we have a draft, minor tweaks, and then that will go to city council as well. We're going to talk about a little bit more later about the impervious surface and tree canopy data that we talked last time on. Just give everyone a little bit more, chance to discuss. We're also going to be meeting multiple departments, planning, public works, parks, and our GIS team about that information. So some feedback that we get here, I can take to that group since it impacts all of those different departments. Water rebates, 102 toilet replacements have been approved and 11 irrigation checkup applications have been approved. The power switch, we're taking signups now until October 22nd. And that's it for the contract window of September 23rd to February 28th. So moving forward, they're going to transition that program instead of doing 3 auctions per year to 2. Basically eliminate the summer one, and that's due to kind of some of the volatile pricing that we get in the summer, which makes it hard to get a competitive rate. So we're working on getting that message out to people. And if people's, contract ends in the summer, which tends to be the highest time to purchase electricity, trying to figure out ways, whether it's for them to sign like a 3-month or a 6-month contract to get on a switch window that aligns with the power switch, but also when energy prices are cheaper in Texas. And then I will be attending the Urban Sustainability Directors Network Conference on the 20th of this month. So we'll be nerding out on local government sustainability with peers from around the country. And our next meeting is November the 13th.
Circling back to the solar.
Full smart, yes. Solar and
Solar landfill. So that's just done.
So they had it in executive session, and that's anytime there's like sale of property or legal counsel that's needed. So I am not important enough to be in those meetings to understand.
Well, if
They did take action based on that item, authorizing the city manager to facilitate that. Whether or not it goes through, that's why we're on pause. So the RFP to resend that out is written and ready if something does fall through. That site has been decommissioned since 1992 or 87, and they have not found a buyer for it before. So we shall see if this continues to go through. But that's what I know at this point.
I mean, if it goes through, then will there have to be some remediation?
There will probably have to be pretty extensive
Yeah.
mediation on that. So they'll either have to design whatever they're trying to put on there in a way that aligns with TCEQ subchapter T, or dig up all the trash and move it. So pretty expensive remediation process.
Yeah.
So
Still
as
can't
soon as
hear me?
I know more information, I will be happy to share it with the group, but I truthfully don't know anything else than what was said at the council meeting.
You may not know the answer to this, but typically who's on the hook for that? Would the buyer be on the hook for that remediation?
So the
Negotiator?
city, I don't believe can ever, and I'm not the landfill expert, can ever give up liability for that unless the company is willing to take that on. And even then, I'm not quite sure. So there would probably have to be within a contract of sale, I would assume, guarantees of remediation. So like I said, that's about all I know on that.
I think the city of Dallas pinned the military for some remediation they had to do. Former base that was shut down. So if you can get the military involved, you can stick them with the bill.
Is there any plan for the citizen collection center? That's just right to be done.
So I believe that is included in that property. It has 2 different addresses. I can't remember on the council estimate there, but I have to read research and find that out for you. But
So that was sold, right?
they authorized, the council authorized city manager, I guess, to move forward with a sale. Like I said, whether or not that goes through.
That's it, all my questions.
We'll stay tuned. All right, the next agenda item is to receive an update on grow zones and wealth.
All right. On to happier news.
Flowers.
Flowers. All right, once this comes up on the screen. That's a lot. We're adding
Where
mountains.
we are, where we wanna be.
All right, so this has been a topic of discussion from the committee for a while. Built Natural Environment Subcommittee has talked about this quite a bit. So just kind of, we do have the one butterfly garden that's kind of located between the Rose Garden and the historical park behind City Hall. I walked that to take some photos the other day, and there were actually quite a few monarchs up there, which is great.
Very cool.
So they have some informational signage on that, and I think that's been there for like 15 years or something. It's been there for a while, so the plants are pretty well established out there. So we do have that one. I don't know if I had mentioned that in past meetings, so bringing that up. One of the things in talking with parks about some of the grow zones or some of these like kind of wildflower areas that we've talked about in the committee. So one of the things that they're looking at to be planted later later in the fall is actually right behind, this is the Fire Station 2 where we're at right now, and Holiday Park is this green area behind there. So you can kind of see on this what they're looking at along that hill there, kind of planting a wildflower mix, and then having that front area as bluebonnets there. So that will kind of incorporate some native wildflowers to Texas. It should look very pretty. It'll probably be pretty Instagrammy, hopefully, once it gets established and everything like that. So a step in the kind of the right direction from what we've talked about. Yes.
And so if it's gonna be Instagrammy, from where are the people going to be parking and walking to get to the Instagrammy portion of this show?
Great question.
Okay, I just,
Brookhaven or.
but I mean, there's not a crosswalk on
Or,
any
yeah,
of those.
probably kind of where you're parked now, I would assume. So I don't know exactly how well utilized Holiday Park is. If it gets very well utilized, I'm sure they will figure something out.
Okay, I mean, I'm just curious if that was.
Yeah.
But
But,
turn into the college, we were discussing planting wildflowers and bluebonnets along the street area.
oh, wonderful.
So maybe we can dovetail those together somehow.
Yeah.
Or at the crosswalk, maybe.
I mean, there is a light right there, so it's not totally.
And Maria can tell you how difficult it is to put a crosswalk in because we are learning that right now.
Definitely more than just
Just
painting.
painting.
Yes, as Alex and I are learning.
Yeah.
There will be signage on this and
Yeah, so there's gonna be probably signage put out there and then also trying to get the word out about it,
Yeah,
just so
yeah.
we don't get resident complaints about, if it looks unmowed or something like that. So that's an initiative that Parks is doing. And yeah, you can kind of see, they're still gonna mow that exterior edge, so I guess that's kind of how they're trying to balance out some of the aesthetics. And then I think once the wildflowers seed, they might mow that area in the off season and then let it come back.
will there be like benches to sit?
I don't know anything further about, like, as far as.
Very
if it's a
preliminary planning.
Development more of the park, or if it's just, hey, since we have the land here and it's, largely underutilized, why don't we, add some pollinator plants and do that. So this would be, I think, kind of a good start for some of the things that we've talked about. So I'm, glad that some of our discussions with Parks and Rec have gone well with that.
Can we rename it?
That's a different meeting. We gotta go to Parks and Rec board for that one. And then grow zones. So we have also talked a lot about grow zones. It's mentioned in the sustainability plan. Maria, I stole your photo on this one. So there are discussions right now for a grow zone along Rawhide Creek to provide some erosion control and prevent damage to the gabions that are alongside there. What they're preliminarily kind of looking at, it's mentioned in a lot of our stormwater stuff that we should be doing that. So we do have a stormwater engineer on staff, so they've been kind of working on some of that with Parks and Rec. But one of the things that they're looking at doing there is still, kind of spraying that area like they would do the rest of the park to eliminate weeds. And then letting just the grass grow up. So you don't have just kind of a wild mix of everything go. It would just be more tall grass as far as the first iteration. But yeah, so there is the stormwater benefits, the erosion control, support for the gabions there, and then hopefully trying to balance that aesthetic look. So they would probably mow some paths into it, just so people that fish in the creek or do anything like that could still have a clean walkway, periodically along the trail. And then hopefully if it's just the tall grass, that will mitigate some of the potential aesthetic complaints that they might get. And then obviously education, signage, would be something. So that's under discussion right now. So
And when you say tall grass, could you be specific, like, does that mean like 3 inches tall, 5 inches tall, 6 inches tall?
it would just be guessing at this point in time. So this is still early on, but I think it is showing too that some of the discussion that,
Is
what's that?
it gonna be native grass?
Yeah,
Again.
I feel like I'm coming at you with no information.
Okay.
It's still very preliminary.
There will be.
So there will be hopefully a grow zone of sorts. So whether or not that includes replanting the grass that's there, letting that grow up, or potentially in the future mixing in some sort of native grasses and seeds. That's all to be determined, but since we've talked about that quite a bit, I wanted to kind of bring that to you that it's making some progress there.
And is there anything we can do to offer support in that, a voice in that, like?
At this time, I feel like we have kind of the known support of the committee to do that. And like I said, it's in our sustainability plan. So from sustainability, we'll be pushing for it. If there's anything kind of more specific as they start to kind of make progress on this, if it's an item at Parks and Rec board, I'll be sure to let everyone know, in case you'd like to attend. And then, but yeah, as far as kind of, talking here, you kind of let me know that this is something that the committee would support. And you can always feel free to contact your council member and let them know that, hey, this is something that you've seen in other cities, it provides a benefit, just to kind of let them know, use your voice as a resident to speak with your elected officials. Always something you can do.
And do we know too, like, I'm thinking about that impermeable surface map that we have and like how that fits into like the design of this and like how bad is our stormwater system? How good is our stormwater? Do we have a sense of like?
I think most of it, like our capacity is pretty strong. We do now with our new stormwater engineer, they are doing like drainage studies and different things like that. So they're kind of moving those questions along and getting some better answers for that versus kind of probably what we've done in the past. So I think that's a big step, is having someone in that position that, is really looking at that. A few years ago, we adopted the drainage manual. And now we're kind of doing a little bit more intensive look at some of these stormwater issues. And that's part of the reason that stormwater engineer will be at our meeting when we're talking about some impervious surface stuff, because that's stuff he's already started to look into as it relates to stormwater fees and then just overall, movement of water.
Are they also mapping things?
Yeah, they're doing, I think, quite a bit of mapping. I think they have a consultant project on I think it's a lot higher resolution than what we currently have data wise. So hopefully that will kind of provide some data that we can use to impact some of our programs or project decisions.
And I know I want to say we talked about this at the last meeting, but the idea of doing some sort of like stormwater rebate for homeowners.
I'm trying to get some more information.
Okay.
So yeah, I have that, and that's hopefully something that we'll talk about too in that meeting. I need to get a better understanding of how those fees are levied and how they're structured. And that's part of the thing I think that they're doing with that drainage study are the fees that we're levying on the stormwater adequate? Is it providing what we would need to mitigate problems in the future? So I think that's stuff that's all being worked on right now.
And do we have any idea of, where in the code would we look for, like, how, difficult is it for a resident to have permeable
So residentially, I sent Lauren the code the other day, but there is the.
Treating, by the way.
I'm sure it
Yeah,
is.
if you need to take a nap, you can read that, but we do allow for permeable surfaces for driveways, and then I got some information about if there was a minimum, I think someone asked about that, so I will follow up and send that information to people with that code. So there is, I believe, a limit of the amount of pervious surface that can be on a residential lot.
There was one thing in that code, I don't know, but there's like section J where it talks about non-residential options for permeable pavement.
Okay,
And I don't know if that could be applied or if it excludes. Maybe I was reading it not as closely as I should, but I don't know if we could consider like something for developers, like when they go in. But there's like incentives for if you do this type of permeable, then you get like a little extra space or there's, but
yeah, I know that was included, I don't know the details off the top of my head, but. And then I think that also will kind of relate to what Kira presented for planning and zoning about the updates to the landscape ordinance. I think that kind of mentioned the amount of like impervious surface and like with parking lots having tree wells and stuff like that. So I think with the conversation we're having right now and then into the next agenda item, that kind of underscores the importance for that kind of an update to that code.
Well, to that point about that's been tabled indefinitely. So.
Yeah.
The development planning and zoning. Redoing the code for the landscaping. So.
At East Farmers Branch Fire Department, 1900 speaker attend.
Confirmed.
Speaker.
I thought
Yeah.
it was Christ for a second. I was like, okay, Christ.
He got fed up with Alex, he's gonna find his own way. We can't even see him if he's replying.
And then I just have one question, I think we can move on. The rain barrel, I know you said that we made a recommendation like a while back and then I know there's.
So yeah, there is nothing, that did not get added to the code, because I don't think any of the updates on that were made. So that was right when our code enforcement manager was leaving the city and those were not picked up. So I did inform our new person, she's not very new, but that in that role, what the committee had done in the past. So if they are, I guess, gonna talk about that again,
Yeah.
they have the recommendations from the committee.
Okay.
So they, I guess, can use that in their decision making. I don't know how high of a priority that is right now for that team, right? As far as, because I think it was mixed into a lot of the other updates. So I guess that will depend on kind of the direction of council and I guess what the priority of that team and what they're trying to get through. But they do have the past recommendations from the committee on that.
And I don't know how much that ties into stormwater. I'm sure.
It's probably minimal, but it does, store water, for a period of time. So it's not just running right off into the roads and stuff like that. So it would have a benefit. I don't know how much, but definitely, I guess on a smaller level, it would. And then kind of, talking about the compost and different things, how much water that can absorb. So that's another kind of stormwater benefit too for so we kind of increase some of our education on that. Some of those lessons learned we'll be able to do there. And then rain barrels can go in the backyard too. So it's just, that code was from view of the right of way. Was talking about allowing that view. So they have the recommendations from the committee. I don't really know when or if they're gonna push that forward again.
Any other questions?
Let me make sure Price doesn't have any questions here.
So the next item is to discuss the impervious surface and tree canopy data. Thank you. Maria. Thank you so much. Tell your daughter happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
So I did ask Alex to put this on the agenda for this month. And one of the things that I would like for us to kind of think about doing is sometimes we get information that's new or newer to us. And I know like for myself, I don't always know how to react to some of the information. So for times when we do have new information, I thought it might be helpful for us to get the information, have time to marinate on it, and then have the opportunity to come back. Maybe once we've done some research or read something or heard about it elsewhere. So I did ask for this to be included again, but that's the reason why.
And I can give a little bit of a refresher on the data. So pulled up right now, this is the map for tree canopy as of February 2023. According to this, was 15% tree canopy coverage throughout the city. Granted, and that is taken in February when a lot of trees have lost their leaves. Still trying to find out if that's standard practice or if that could be potentially dropping our number down. But that equates to 50 million square feet of tree canopy out of the total square footage of the city. So you can definitely see kind of along the creeks, you can kind of make out the parks, kind of to the southwest corner of Brookhaven campus, that grove there, the nature preserve on the west side. But that's kind of the overall. And then I did find that study from 2019 that Texas Trees Foundation did for the cities in Dallas County. It's very difficult to try and equate the methodology to see if it's a apples to apples comparison or if we're comparing apples to oranges. But at that time, we had 22% tree canopy coverage. Since then, we have had two very high profile windstorms that did knock out a lot of trees. I get calls from, residents, especially around tree giveaway time, telling me, I had 4 trees in my yard and they all, went. So getting this tree is a huge deal and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
So if we keep, I know you said the goal was 30-something% was a good.
Yeah, an aspirational goal for cities is 30% canopy coverage. And in that 2019 study, the average tree canopy coverage of cities in our area or in Dallas County was 28%. So a big chunk of that is the Trinity Forest in Dallas. Highland Park at that time was 45% tree canopy. So that probably skews numbers a little bit. University Park was 37, but so average Dallas County at that time, we were fairly close, I guess, from a county perspective to that 30%. So that's kind of the goal for tree canopies for cities. Kind of in our region is about 30.
Any chance that Dallas had an update from the same vendor?
Not that I was able to find.
Okay.
We will have someone from Texas Trees at our event because they are our supplier for the trees. So I will ask them too if they have anything in the works. As far as redoing that survey, hopefully we can get a little bit more information if there is something that's planned.
Or if they had map for the 2019 data, that would be super awesome.
Mm-hmm. They might have that within the report. I'll look and see. The report was largely the city of Dallas, but they did the canopy coverage of the entire county just for comparative purposes.
After our last meeting, I was looking on, there was at least one private company that specialized in measuring heat island effects for cities using satellite images, and it seemed like that there was a lot higher resolution. And then there are some that are like, you can pick what resolution you want and pay like $7 for like, 20-foot resolution or, different varying levels of resolution too. I'll just see if I can find that.
Yeah, if you find it, could you send that my way?
Yeah.
Because I've seen some data that shows, our heat differentiation between the city.
Yeah.
So it's very general.
It's interesting. There's a company. Innovation
Yeah.
I'll get you. I think it's the back thing. Just thinking. Exactly.
I think it's based on they do LiDAR, so it's elevated off. Right. So if there is, so I guess little smart design those things. But yeah, that's basically the crown of the trees to show. So we kind of talked last time. It's like we do need our some roads, sidewalks, things like that. So we will always have impervious surfaces, but have that's kind of over, whether that's in maybe along the trail, the canopy is covering that impervious surface. That's kind of the balance act. Okay, we can't get rid of every impervious surface, but if we can have canopy coverage over it, it does help. And then also for heat to provide shade on concrete, which absorbs that heat.
Is there a way on the website, Encore gives out up to 2 free trees per household, beginning in midsummer months? Then we can provide that.
Yes.
It's their, they're mailed directly to the people, like municipal farms, it's mailed directly to you. It's 5 species of indigenous taxes to communities.
So I'll reach out, see if we can get some information on that. See, I'm aware that they were doing that program. I searched for it the other day and it looked like the site was active, but it still said like 2020, something like that. So I was kind of confused, but I'll reach out. We have a representative from Encore that I guess assigned to multiple cities, so I'll reach out and see if there's a way that we can kind of get the word out on that, especially post. There's ones available after we finish our tree giveaway. We saw residents that maybe didn't get one, being able to put them in that direction to get an Encore tree would be wonderful. Your fault.
Spectral imaging. I went over there. They show this. They show simulation. City heating up. Also, it'd be valuable just to have.
I've seen things on air quality.
I was pretty impressed. But then they can, the technology can do by quite a lot of stuff for the imaging, temperature variance. I forgot it.
I can reach out and see if they have any recent studies.
I just sent you the. Yeah, we have some air quality stuff in the problem. That's on the campuses. That's what I was trying to think. How many days until that comes? People laugh, they have some pretty large fixtures. Have a boat too. I think the good let us like cities like Singapore. They have very active strategy of cooling down. So it's, they have good strategy. There are different strategies. Of course, trees. They have roofs that have gone. Something. I look at the tree coverage here, 15%. If it's in February, I can understand. 15% in summertime.
Yeah.
That's pretty dismal.
Switch to impervious.
Okay, really quick, I'm going to this Encore thing. I like show you a map, like, you can select where you want to plant trees. It'll tell you how much it's gonna save you.
I have a
And then it is for 2024.
okay.
But they only have 10 by 10 spots. But for next year,
I'll I'll reach out and see if we can help them market that.
Yeah.
So that would be,
Would you
hey,
text me that?
if we can get more of the trees going to Farmers Branch than the other cities, I'll take it.
Okay. I'll text you guys the link and y'all can go.
Yes.
The, that app is through Arbor Day Foundation. So the first tree giveaway I did in a former city was through that one. They ended up sourcing the trees through the same people that we source it from. But you do get that nice online map where you can drag the tree and
Around,
supposedly see where is the best place to plant for energy savings.
Mhm.
No one was very good at that. They have
Sure.
75-80% of the people just put it right there, right on the middle of the house.
But it's fun to
See
like
where they were gonna plant it. So
manipulate it.
it is super cool. Like if you use the tool correctly, our users just did not at the time.
Yeah, it's just the cool thing to be able to
I was
see.
planting a tree. I'm very interested in the tree this year.
Fan and Tree Farm does a whole thing too, where they'll like tell you, plant this tree there, and this will help with that. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
I digress.
Yeah, I think it's probably only gonna get hotter. So the more I think that as a committee, we're thinking about these things, I think the better. So, I was able to make it to the P and Z meeting. I talked with them a little bit after it was over, but they're interested in these maps too. So, I think that there could be some opportunity maybe down the line where our committees could possibly work together. And I know Al, you're interested in the cooling Singapore. You volunteered to give us a presentation.
Do some work while
And I mean, it's kind of a tangent, but like, in the sustainability, I think there's something about like cool roofs and like using the lighter colored shingles and the different, I mean, that's kind of heat islandy.
It is very much so.
It's kind of a, branch on the bigger tree of this situation, but, that would be interesting too.
Yeah, and within our commercial code, the most recent adoption that we did included that for commercial buildings, those kind of reflective cooler roofs. So that is included on the commercial side. On the residential side, it's not. I don't know. I hear people complain about light colored shingles. It doesn't bother me. I've seen, so City of San Antonio had a rebate program. I believe they still do for folks that put on shingles that have a certain reflectivity. They do have a utility, so they can use that funds, the revenue of energy they're, I think, legally required to by the state into energy efficiency rebates. So, it's possible maybe we start with the kind of education on that, because maybe people don't know. Hopefully they don't have too many complaints, but I guess if people want to put a light colored roof on, I mean, like, we should be encouraging that.
Right.
Because that helps reflect, and it'll also save them money versus heating their home.
Yeah, I grew up in the city back in the sixties and people had like roofs like this.
And one of the other things that I was thinking of that I just remembered, kind of more about the canopy cover, but like, I know last time we talked about how sometimes it's hard for Parks and Rec to plant trees based on like how much water they get and everything like that. And I think I was reading, so searching online, like Boston has a adopt a tree program where residents are given the ability to go out and take care of a tree by watering it and doing certain things with it. The city provides like some small materials to like help the water in. Obviously, it's much more city there, so they're taking care of trees that are like, planted with this much, dirt. But I don't know if that's ever been considered as far as like helping to get like citizen engagement on like taking care of trees or people like that or anything.
I can look in and see if they've ever done anything like that, if they've had like agreements with neighbors or something, if they're trying to plant trees in an area without irrigation, if they've ever, attempted that. But I'll also look into that Boston program and get some information.
That would be really good for scouting programs. People project.
Impervious surface that I have on here, just a few notes from last time. So we were, according to this map, 52% of the city with impervious surface. That includes roads, paved alleys, parking lots, buildings, sidewalks, in-ground pools, different things like that. And the LiDAR can actually differentiate those different types, which is pretty neat. Yeah. The roads and paved alleys were 10% of the impervious, of the city, and impervious surface. Parking lots were 15. Buildings were 18 and sidewalks were 2.4.
More parking lots than roads. And sidewalks. You said sidewalks and roads were together?
No, sidewalks were separate. Sidewalks were 2.4%, which was 8.2 million square feet.
Wow.
So the middle there is the more like houses.
Mhm.
And then the west is industrial,
Mhm.
and then the east is industrial.
Yeah.
This whole area. I know that in the coding that they were talking about, landscaping is, part of it was for the commercial of the multifamily housing units, that they had to have a certain percentage of green space, and some of that green space could be a rooftop garden or a, courtyard or something like that. And I guess since that, the commercial, I mean, it's all on pause now anyway. We don't have any incentives for commercial area to have a rooftop garden per se, or like a,
That
whatever.
would be something I'd have to look in on their stormwater and drainage fees.
Yeah,
What incentives are there if there's any reduced price? So thank you for bringing that up.
I guess we just probably, I guess what I really would say, I want to have a better understanding of what the landscaping code is now, since they're not pursuing altering it at this time. So like, where are we? Because it's similar to, we're not in line, because she was like comparing it to other cities, are, kind of like, we require 5%, or we have no zoning at all about it, no codes at all about this, where Carrollton has, you have to have at least this much, or, and so. So she go back and look at her presentation again.
Yeah, I remember they had that information because I think the kind of intent that they were going with was, we're not really, going crazy here. It was more
Just
bringing
like
it to the level
bringing it to the standard
of
of other
other cities.
areas. Do you have like a lot of our meetings? Can you find out which meeting she came to?
Yeah,
present so
I
we
can find that. And I believe she came when we were recording, so that would be on the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah. Just to look and see. Yeah, it's been so long. Like, I don't know where we're starting from.
But we will have planning staff at our meeting with the department, so they're gonna see this information and maybe that having this data here, I mean, it's a lot of red.
It's a lot of red.
Maybe that can help, maybe perhaps restart that discussion there.
Any other discussion?
Are there any cities around that have like large industrial areas that have done something really good to change this?
I can look and see. Yeah.
Everything, I know.
We do have a lot of,
And one of the things too, City of Dallas, they did the urban heat study, and found that Southwest Medical District, where the hospitals are, is one of the highest heat island portions of the city, a lot of the concrete and stuff. So they are doing a lot of work in that area, because there's also too, from a medical perspective, like seeing greenery and like having that is actually beneficial to patients and helps them heal faster. So it's very counterintuitive presently. So they're doing a lot of work over there. So that would be a good case study as some of those projects get completed.
Reminds me of the Children's Medical Center over I know with the horses. Their legacy.
Yeah.
Sort of.
See what prices. See here. No price. We did not get the county coverage map.
Okay.
in the year. Something that we see in other committees or other cities. So that's my update. Communication.
We haven't met since the last meeting. As I said, I reached out to the planning and zoning and tree preservation committee, and that's on hold indefinitely. So that's a bummer. And I did talk to Alex a little bit about identifying, things at the library that we can maybe co-host or get on board with. They do have, this one's a little inconvenient, if they have a recycled craft class the first Thursday of every month.
Oh.
But it's like at 2, it's like for teenagers or kids or something like that. But if there was ever an opportunity for someone like for us to, they do have like adult craft nights and stuff. And I know the historical park used to do, where they would like build a little shelf out of a pallet or whatever, recycled pallet. So there is definitely, room for that, I think, and also opportunity for that, for us to partner with, some of them. They also have stuff at the library is kids focused, but they have story time at the Burke Nature Preserve. Over there on the west side.
Is it on Saturdays?
It's on a Saturday at 11:30 a.m., but I don't know which Saturday. But like they have the fall garden class. I think that the composting was a big success. I left a message for, I'm not sure who to contact as far as like who's in charge of the calendar. I've left messages and have not received any. I'm not sure who to reach out to about how to plan this kind of,
Like specifically at the library or?
yeah, they have that nice big meeting room there. And I did go to one thing a few years ago where like the North Texas Raptor Circuitory came down and brought, birds. And of course that was for kids, but I'm just saying there's opportunity there. I just don't know I don't know who to reach out to
Okay.
actually talk to about partnering up with them and, cause like a plan a fall garden, that would be a great
I can do.
seminar to do how to plant, maybe in the winter, like winter crops or, I don't know, just something that we can, I think it would be a great opportunity to introduce a like Lead the Leaves
No,
initiative because, that's
We like
where
fireflies.
that's where all the fireflies and they're all living there, So anyway, I think it would be a good opportunity to like kind of do like a lecture series, but it's nothing crazy, but like once a quarter or something. We could plan something.
there's no in May.
Right, so that like there seems to be an appetite for that since the composting thing went so fast and the trees are going so fast. I just feel like,
I think you're right. I think we're starting to get the ball rolling.
yeah.
We need to stay on top of it now. Keep
Yeah.
stuff enticing
Mhm.
people. I think maybe partnering with the libraries, if they're already doing things.
Right. Right,
And
And
they're built for it more than.
Yeah.
right. And I mean, as long as it'd be a partnership,
Yeah.
so like we'd be co-hosting, like we can maybe make the phone call and get whoever to come and speak and anyway, so that's all I have.
Tell me again, the Thursdays at 2:00, is it the first Thursday of the month?
It's the first Thursday, I say 2:00. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, at the library.
I just thought, well, that's kind of inconvenient for people that have jobs. Yeah, it's the first Thursday, but it's meant for like kids and
What is it?
recycled crafts, what it's called. It's like they do like a different project every month.
You have crafts they recycle or they give you?
They're crafts made of recycled materials. Is what it sounds.
Kids get there on a Thursday too.
Well, I mean, if they're young, they're little, then they're on or whatever. I don't know exactly the age range.
Let me ask you, well, I'll wait.
All right, water.
Nothing.
Next agenda item is to receive an update from committee members on activity list.
Did anybody go to National Night Out parties?
The first year I could, yeah.
It's on the fourth or just something. Well, just an FYI for next year, you can go to the police department website and they will tell you where the different parties are. So like you can find one near you. And I'm hoping to, by next year, if I can get my stuff together quick enough, seems like I should be able to have like little sustainability grab bags or something to take to people hosting the party so they can pass out a magnet, or they can pass out, something.
Are you gonna host a party?
No. I have a neighbor that's very close, geographically very close to me, and they are always hosting parties, and I wouldn't want to try to compete. I wouldn't wanna try to distract
Yeah.
from their efforts. So that doesn't seem like a very neighborly thing to do.
Mm.
Well, I went to the PNZ meeting, I think I mentioned, but I didn't add, or I will add, that they're also very, very interested in the active transportation plan. So could be some opportunities down the line with them. I went to the hazardous waste event. It was somewhat slow, so I think maybe the next time they do it, there might be some opportunities for us as a committee to kind of help support awareness of that and get the word out.
What do they take care of in that place?
So it was Dallas County that came in, and they just set up a system like summer, and they were taking batteries, cleaning products,
Anything, all kinds of,
yeah, basically any, like,
like anything you do
You
that.
did that on the weekend,
Mhm.
on Saturday, and it was smooth. So I did it last year and it was pretty consistent.
Several years ago, they did it at the On Good Park parking lot.
Oh, it's easier to get to. Well, it was, you had to drive,
feel like a little
Yeah.
tucked away.
yeah. Something like that might be better in a more central location in the city.
Yeah, I don't know. I just remembered it was busy, like, cause I live right by there, like all day long, there was just lines, people coming and going, and yeah, they'll take anything. And you can take stuff to the Dallas County, the location that's over off of like Plano Road or wherever it is.
Yeah, that's offered year round. If
Yeah.
you're a Farmers Branch resident, you can take it there. I think they're open 2 days a week. It's kind of weird times.
Yeah, it is.
Thursday and a Saturday or something. But check it out.
Like all these batteries that I keep from throwing away, I have to take them somewhere.
Yeah. And people did. Well, that's the next agenda item, last one, agenda items for future meeting.
Yeah. Do we have any ideas about what on the agenda for Alex? Do we have like a
We
calendar?
have Dallas College coming in February.
Okay,
We had talked about that, so we have them in February. I don't have kind of my tentative calendar for November here, because I think originally we were planning to have Dallas College. December, we will likely probably just do a real short meeting, kind of just updates and kind of like what we did last year, so kind of in and out real quick, mini holiday break. So that'll probably be a pretty light meeting, but we do have a fair amount of stuff on here we can discuss at a future, in November. I can always talk with Lauren, or if you have ideas later, you can email either one of us.
I remember, I think last time we talked about America Recycles Day.
Yes, I'm gonna get some content put in our e-news social media for that, to at least get some of the word out for that.
I was wondering, because, with the CCC going on, maybe it's an opportunity to tell people about the options they still remain for that
Yeah,
stuff too.
How much time do you think that we should have when we're planning for having an event at the campus for like e-waste, paper cutting, whatever? What is the appropriate amount of time ahead? Is it 2 months to be able to get into the mailer? Or how much time do we have to give advance notice for that?
I think for the mailer, it's like close to like 6 or 7 weeks in advance, so
Okay.
almost 2 months. As far as, I mean, the city events, we plan those out pretty early, so like shredding, I don't know if we already have the dates for 2025, we probably do. Tree giveaway, we normally plan that out like 10 months or so in advance, 9 or 10 months. But as far as getting stuff in the printed newsletters, I'd say like 6.
And what about, like social media?
Social media is pretty quick turnaround, so we can do something pretty quick with that. So if we find out about, if there's gonna be a shredding event or something, at Dallas College, we could probably put that on social media within a couple days.
Because I heard rumblings, I should say, not mumblings. I heard rumblings about the Rotary trying to have an event in January.
They did reach out to me. That was right around when they were talking about doing like electronics recycling. That was right when
Yes.
some of the different stuff with the Triple C was talking. So I was like, well, if this goes through, like, I'll be sure to give you a call, because I know that we had talked from Dallas College, and then I think when I spoke with the Rotary, they mentioned that they had talked to Dallas College as well.
Yes.
And there's a church that does it pretty regularly. I see people in their sign
Is
their
that
yard.
Chapel Hill United Methodist, I think, didn't they just do it?
Again, a church, I know it's a church, and I don't know what the rules are about the city maybe promoting or partnering with a faith affiliated.
I think normally you can. It just, I think we just are fairly upfront that this isn't a city event, but it's a community. So don't yell at us if something doesn't go well, if they didn't take all of your electronics.
For the media, we were talking about media, has the city replaced that gentleman, Jeff? That was the spokesperson?
Yes, we have a public information officer. Her name is Ashton.
So what about for the website? Is the website also a quick turnaround like the social media is?
If it's a sustainability page and it's just like adding content, I can do that in 5 minutes. If it's creating new pages, it's longer.
So like if we were to gather some of these, events that are happening that aren't city run, could we send that information to you?
Yeah, and we could
Via the
probably
website?
get that on there relatively quick.
Nice.
And so like for some of the different stuff, like when it's just content, like we had talked on trying to provide some more educational resources for people on compost and drought tolerant landscapes. So I went ahead and added those resources. I was able to do that relatively quick. So
But none of that stuff would go on the calendar.
that wouldn't, well, not the stuff I would do. I would have to get our webmaster to put the calendar. I only have access to our sustainability pages.
Are they pretty strict on what goes on the calendar?
I will find out. I think on the main calendar, it might be most like all city events. I don't know if they would do that, but I think, if there was something else going on, I think we'd probably do that via social media or something. I don't know if they have formal rules on their calendar, but I think everything I've seen is just like committee meetings, council, and then city sponsored events. But I can see if they have
That would make
more
sense.
formal guidelines or something.
All right, if there is no other discussion, motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Sure.
adjourn, thank you.
Second.
There we go. Meeting of 7:36, yes.
Okay.
Bryce also says she wants to adjourn.
Okay.
Like,
Bryce, I'm really
Oh,
sorry for the technical glitch here, but hopefully you enjoyed listening to us.
I'll take Bryce's tickets.
So there you
But it
go.
was 30 minutes faster. This meeting than last time.
It's like dark skies.